Welcome to 2020 Ideas. I'm Fred McClimans. Joining me today is Brian Rich. Brian, pleasure to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to talk a little bit about hyperconnectivity and pervasive communications. Over the past few decades, we've seen not just a radical change in our ability to be mobile, our ability to travel to any part of the country, within hours. We're now seeing pervasive communications occur where I can not only be hyperconnected through my ability to go somewhere, but I can be hyperconnected through my smartphone, through Skype, through Facebook, through Google, to communicate to anybody in the world, and in fact, have phenomenal conversations with people. But with this pervasive communications that we have, I think there's a bit of chaos that gets injected into the system, but there's also an opportunity for us to leverage that moving forward. So what are some of your thoughts about how we minimize the chaotic aspect of being hyperconnected, and what are some of the ways that we might be able to, 5 years out, really leverage this pervasive communication on a global scale?
I think you have to look at this in the context of a complex world, right? So there's not that much that's complicated about the world anymore, but there is a lot that's complex. And in a complex world, you see these patterns emerge, and you need to be able to make sense of the patterns much more quickly. So we don't have the luxury of looking back and making sense of what just happened. We have to kind of pull out a piece of real time, figure what that means in our lives, and then go forward. I don't think that we have risen to that challenge as a society. So we have more and more information, more data about what we're doing, what other people are doing, et cetera, and we're not paying attention to the right things. We're not asking why did something happen. We're just talking about and observing the fact that something did happen. We're not quickly able to turn around whatever the answer is to why, or whatever the assessment is that we make to why, to something productive or constructive going forward. So I actually think two things are either likely to happen or need to happen. One is we actually need to devolve our communications in some respects. We need to go back to what human beings have always known and have always been good at, right? The human brain is actually stronger, smarter than any of the technology that we have built, all of these algorithms and things like that. And we need to remember that our brains have incredible value. And look no further than all these conversations about disconnecting and turning off your devices, and how it gives your brain a different way of functioning that reveals a whole bunch of other new and interesting opportunities, right? So there's this balance of the on and the off that we need to strike, not because it's good or bad for our brain, but because we want to have that difference, and that means devolving from some of the ways we're doing. The other is, if you look at something like Watson, the IBM computer, right, what Watson's great at is mining that real-time flow of data, that fire hose, that river, for the trends and providing the analysis. It thinks differently. So I think we need to build our technology and build our information systems to recognize what question do we need answered, that why question, and then, be able to make sense of it. We're not going to get there if all we do is talk about the fact that there's so much information, or just put out information assuming that it will take care of itself in a positive way. We need to really just kind of realign our thinking and say, what did we always do well, and how do we not lose that? But also, how much of the genie is out of the bottle? How far out have we gone in this space? And what does that mean in terms of how we pull the data, or how we make sense of right now and going forward?
Now, you talked a little bit about, in fact, quite a bit about some of that in your most recent book, Shift and Reset.
Yep.
Looking 5 years out, where do you see the state of society and communications?
Well, look, I mean, if we stay on the trajectory we're on now, it's not looking good. We're using a lot of new tools, but we're stuck in old patterns of behavior, and that's a problem. I think if we can kind of, grab ourselves by the lapel and shake a little bit and say, what we're doing isn't working anymore, not as well as it has been, and, change our organizational structure, change our thinking, really just kind of get into a mentality that allows us not just to do more and move faster, but to challenge and think differently than we have been, break out of those patterns. Then I think we have the prospect to really, find some new solutions to solve some of the complex problems that exist in the world, to create some incredible new, exciting ways of learning, or, making money or being healthy, whatever it is you want to accomplish. But in terms of communication right now, I think we're still just applying the old ways to new tools, and we really just need to stop stop the old behavior, stop the things that we know are not as applicable as they were not that long ago,
right.
and recognize it's a new game, it's a new time, and see where that gets us.
It really is a matter of taking technology, accepting it for what it is, but looking at a new way of applying it, and not relying merely on what we've done in the past.
Really understanding, what has changed about our lives, and what do we have to now change as a result going forward to get back into alignment, or to get back into some, semblance of balance, or whatever you want to call it.
Is there any group or organization or portion of society that you see actually promoting that today?
I mean, I think you see people talking about it all the time. I actually think that the people who are probably doing the best are the people who are in the greatest crisis. So media is adapting surprisingly well, coming up with incredible journalism, incredible entertainment that reflects changing habits of media consumption. I think you're seeing, the humanitarian folks in some cases responding, to disasters with, societies coming together and doing amazing things with tools that had commonly been available and had never been used in those ways, whether that's like an Ushahidi type mapping, or, or sort of the innovations around, post-earthquake societies where, you actually have people come together and rebuild because they have nothing else to go on but the fact that they're connected, right? Nothing they know sticks anymore. So they're saying, well, fine, we're not going to wallow in pity about this. We're going to go and rebuild our society, and we're going to build it differently, and we're going to do all the things that until this horrific, catastrophic situation occurred, we never had the opportunity to think about.
Sort of an order out of chaos perspective.
Right. And I think, we need to accept that we're in chaos, and we need to accept, that sort of a catastrophic situation could occur or is occurring in every industry, in every sector of the world. Mm-hmm. And if we take that mentality, right, it's safe to do it in your head, it's safe to do it on paper. If we don't wait around for the catastrophic situation to respond to the idea of one, imagine what could happen on the other side.
Very good. Brian, thank you. Appreciate the time today.
You bet.